time is 7:35, and I will call this February 27, 2017 meeting of the Snellville Mayor and City Council to order. Thank you all for coming, and we'll start this evening with our invocation. And for the invocation tonight, we have Mr. Randy Orr, the newest deacon at the St. Oliver's Catholic Church. Welcome, Randy. Congratulations.
It's an honor to be here to open the meeting in prayer. Let us pray. Good and gracious God, slow to anger and rich in mercy, we come to you this evening recognizing that you are present among us as you are present with us always, even when we are slow to recognize it. We thank you for the many ways you make yourself known to us in our families, our friends, and in our local communities. This very night we ask for your blessing on all the good people of Snellville. Prompt them to be kind, prompt them to be generous, and to be patient with each other. We ask you to be with the city leaders of Snellville, its mayor, council, and all civil servants, including all those who serve the city in departments such as police and fire, and all medical personnel. For these good people, we thank you. We ask you to gift them with your strength and perseverance. And now, aware of your love for us, we ask for your graces as we ask you to bless this assembly in the name of the Father, and the Son, and the Holy Spirit. Amen.
Thank you, Reverend. Next, we'll have Troop 568 come forward for the Pledge of Allegiance.
States of America, and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Thank you all very much. Now we'll go into our ceremonial matters. Before we do that, I noticed that former Mayor Henry Flower walked into the room. Mayor Flower, thank you for coming. Mayor Flower was the mayor of Snellville for 27 years. That 27th one would have killed him. We're going to change the ceremonial matters around a little bit. The first thing we're going to do is our Public Service Award, and I'm going to have Councilman Bobby Howard read that proclamation.
All right, well, how y'all doing tonight? Well, it's my extreme pleasure to read the following proclamation. Proclamation 2017-01. Whereas Officer Jacob Calloway joined the Snellville Police Department as a patrol officer in August of 2014, and whereas in addition to his regular duties, he serves as a member of the Special Response Team, we call it SRT, and a member of the Advanced Mobile Field Force comprised of units from every agency in Gwinnett County. And whereas Officer Calloway has received the Snellville Police Department Lifesaver Award and was nominated for the Gwinnett Chamber Valor Awards Life-Saving Award, and whereas he served our country since July of 2006 as a member of the Georgia National Guard, reaching the rank of sergeant, and deployed to Afghanistan in 2010 and 13. Whereas Officer Calloway was awarded Army Commendation Medal the Army Achievement Medal, Global War on Terror, Overseas Training Ribbon, and the Combat Infantry Badge. Whereas Officer Calloway was nominated by Chief Roy Whitehead for the 2017 VFW Public Service Award. And whereas on February 16, 2017, the Veterans of Foreign Wars Post 4180 awarded Officer Calloway the Post Public Service Award for his outstanding service. Therefore, I, Tom Witz, Mayor of the City of Snellville, Georgia, where everybody is proud to be somebody, do hereby join with our City Council and the citizens of Snellville to congratulate Officer Jacob Calloway for winning this prestigious award and thank him for his exemplary service, not only to the City of Snellville, but also to his country. Let's give Officer Calloway a rousing round of applause.
Well done, sir. Well done. You should hang on to that. I'm just, thank you. I'm just photobombing. Next, we have a proclamation. During the Christmas season, we had a Christmas tree festival of trees inside City Hall, and different groups put their trees up and then had donations for the Southeast Co-op. And every tree, if you put it by the tree, that tree got a vote. So the head of Give Hunger the Boot, our own councilman, Emmanuel, that's right. Dave Emmanuel is going to read the proclamation for that.
Thank you, Mayor. This is Proclamation 2017-02. Recognition of St. Oliver's Catholic Church winning Best Tree at the first annual Snellville Festival of Trees. Whereas the first annual Festival of Trees was created by Snellville Tourism Trade to allow business owners, churches, schools, and residents the opportunity to showcase their Christmas trees in Snellville City Hall while helping their community give hunger the boot. And whereas all non-perishable food items, toiletries, toys, and monetary donations were accepted and placed under the tree of choice, with each item registering as a vote. All items were donated to the Southeast Gwinnett Co-op to give hunger the boot. And whereas 9 entries displayed trees throughout City Hall with a combined effort of over 10,027 donations, and whereas St. Oliver's Catholic Church parishioners donated generously with a spirit of giving back to the community, purple Advent bags filled the halls of City Hall on a regular basis. Over 8,417 items were donated for our community. Therefore, Tom Witz, Mayor of the City of Snellville, Georgia, where everybody is proud to be somebody, do hereby join with our City Council and the citizens of Snellville to recognize the faithful servants of St. Oliver's Catholic Church who are called to action by faithfully giving and joyful witness to the community for their outstanding support to the first annual Snellville Festival of Trees, proclaimed this 27th day of February, 2017.
If anyone's here from St. Oliver's, come on up and have your picture taken.
Everybody squeeze in nice and tight.
You have to act like you like each other.
Make sure you go.
You should probably be the recipient.
Now I'll ask Marcy Ferris to come forward and to introduce our volunteers of the year. Marcy?
Thank you. When I read your name, please come forward. The first volunteer of the year is the representative from the Snellville Tourism and Trade, Alice Snipes. The volunteer of the year from the Community Garden of Snellville is Wes Nettleton. Gwinnett Sunrise Rotary has nominated Mary Fergus as their volunteer of the year. The Snellville Farmers Market volunteer of the year is Regina Hall. The Snellville Citizens Police Academy Alumni Association volunteer of the year is Linda Brock. Unfortunately, she cannot be here tonight. The volunteer of the year from the Snellville Police Explorers is Lisa James, also known as AJ. The South Gwinnett High School Youth Commission Volunteer of the Year is Abigail Cleese. The winner of the Marcy Ferris Volunteer of the Year Award is Mary Fergus.
Can we get a nice group shot of all the winners? And Marcy, would you get it?
Our namesake. Cover me.
Okay, 1, 2.
And one more over here, please. Thank you. Perfect, thank you.
I always say that in order to run a city, it's like a three-legged milk stool. And you always know, we only have 2 legs on a 3-legged milk stool. It makes milking the cow really, really hard. And the 3 legs are the elected officials, a very strong and work group, staff, and volunteers. And we're blessed in Snellville to have some great volunteers. And the volunteers you saw up here this evening are the same people. You'll see them at multiple functions. Just because they got it for one group doesn't mean that that's the only group they volunteer for. They volunteer throughout the community. This community would not be what it is without them. So if you would, please join me in one more round of applause for them. I'll now entertain a motion for approval of the minutes of the January 28, 2017 work session and regular meeting.
Is that January or February?
February, I'm sorry.
Motion to approve the minutes of the February 13th meeting.
I have a motion by the second.
Also, the minutes of the January 28th retreat.
And the minutes of the January 28th retreat.
And
There's a motion and a second.
Second.
Thank you. Any discussion of council? Seeing none, I'll call the question. All those in favor signify by raising your right hand. That's 6 approval, the minutes are approved. Committee department reports will start tonight with Chief Judge Mark Lang in the municipal court. Good evening, Judge Lang.
May I approach the dais or as the judge?
How brave are you?
I'm real brave today.
You're out of order, Mark.
I'm out of order.
Can't approach me. No, can't approach me.
Well, good evening, Mayor and Council. For anyone that doesn't know, my name is Mark Earl Lang, and I am the Chief Judge of the Municipal Court of the City of Snellville. I have been an Associate Municipal Court Judge of this city since 2006, so I'm in my 11th year. I was nominated and appointed as Chief Judge of the Municipal Court of the City of Snellville in 2009. Needless to say, I've seen the court evolve substantially since when I first started practicing law. I've been practicing law for 37 years. From the time I started, when I first came to Snellville to practice court, and then of course when I became a judge. I handed out to, I know you have a lot of material to go through, and I'm going to try to keep things as brief and as simple as possible. I know that's odd for me, especially as you all know me so well as a judge and a lawyer, but what I did was I gave you a breakdown of our court sessions for the last 3 years, 2014, 2015, and 2016, for the calendar year, and gave you the total number of citations that go through our court. We have court, obviously, once a week on Wednesdays from 8:30 in the morning through till usually 5, 6 o'clock at night. Plus, we have jail cases also during that same time. We do at times take a break for lunch, but it can be quite busy. We broke down the payments per year that are made by online. People can make online payments, and that I also put the figure next to that showing you the kind of online payments that we receive. There's also a 4% charge for anyone that uses online payments, and I assume that's reflected in that also. I'm not positive. These were created by our clerk. I also put in there the amount of money, the amount of fines that are collected through probation. And then finally, our total amount of monies, which is a byproduct of our court each year. And as you can see, there are a substantial amount of revenue as a byproduct of the court. Right now, we are averaging about 30,300 cases the last 2 years. We had more cases in 2014, and I attribute that to the economy. As our economy grows better, we seem to have less citation violations. However, if you desire a better breakdown as to the kind of citations, if you're not familiar, we do misdemeanor traffic offenses, from driving under influence to driving with an expired tag. We also do misdemeanor shoplifting, minor possession of marijuana, obstruction, fighting, public disorderly conduct, and so forth. We do not do felonies. We don't do domestic cases. Those all go to other courts in the county. So that is I try to give you a brief idea of the kind of amount of citations we have go through the court. We have business Monday through Friday in our court. Even we're not having court from the morning the clerks get here until they quit. And then we have a trial date, which we started in 2016. To alleviate our caseloads, we started a separate day trial sessions. We have trials the third Thursday of each month, and that so far we've been doing for about almost a year, and it seems to be doing well, where someone has the opportunity to try their case if they desire. In the last year, we've transitioned to a new probation service company. After 20-some odd years, we changed from private probation services to now Southeastern Probation. And you can ask the city manager, and some of y'all may have some insight in that, but we've been able to make that a smooth transition from that probation department to the new probation without any gaps in supervision, any increase in warrants, and also a decrease in the amount of people that are required to pay when they're supposed to pay. Just as a small brief summary, our courts now, with the impetus from the governor, from the administrator of courts, and from the state legislature, all our courts now are having to show more accountability. It's more acute. Also, our courts have to be more efficient. That is a mandate with the municipal court of the city of Snellville. And as I said before, our courts have evolved from the old justice of the peace that we all sort of remembered as Mayberry with Andy and Barney, from Mayberry and the like, to now we are an equal member. The municipal court is an equal member of the uniform court system, along with the state court, the superior court, the probate court. And we stand as an equal member of that court system and are held to the same standard as those courts. And as my dedication has been in this, in my service as a judge to the city of Snellville and the municipal court, is the purpose of our court is to assist and to provide public safety in the city of Snellville and all who come through our city limits. And we try, that is one of our prime directives. Also, the court continues to be an active and vigilant defender of the rights guaranteed by the Constitution of the United States and the Constitution of the state of Georgia. And finally, I'd like to give my personal gratitude to the mayor and to the city council for your support and for the privilege to serve as a judge in this court for this city for the many years that I've been here. And you have my promise that I will continue my dedication to continue to uphold the high standard of the court, demonstrated by the court, its personnel, and the expectations of its oath as dictated by the city. Thank you.
Any questions for Judge Lang?
I have one question. I can't tell, there's no details really on this in depth, but I was just curious, the number of amount of monies collected is greater than before 2014, 2015. The citations are actually lower. Is that just because fines have increased in probation court?
Well, that's a great question. Yes and no. Yes, fines have increased somewhat. We haven't raised our fines in about 4.5 to 5 years, but people are paying. That's the other big factor, is because a lot of times, and just as a brief answer to your question is, between 2009 and 2013, I saw a significant increase of people having the inability to pay. because of their being out of work. And so we had to come up with alternative resolutions, so we had more community services. Sometimes I had them just sit in court to observe because they had the inability to pay. And I do not lock people up because they can't pay. I mean, if they have the ability to pay, I do not lock them up or put them in incarceration. And so that is a combination. The fines are a little higher on some, but primarily we're getting people to pay. We're a little more, as a system, as electronics get better, the courtware, the electronic and intelligent internet, we've been able to keep people more in tune with their obligation to pay. And I think that the two factors, the main factor is because the economy's better, we're seeing more people have the ability to pay, so your fines are up.
Okay, thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you, Your Honor.
Thank you.
I'd just like to wish Judge Lang a happy birthday.
Happy birthday, Your Honor.
Thank you.
Next, we'll hear from the Parks and Recreation Advisory Board, Brittany Mullen.
Good evening, Mayor and Council. I have a couple of items to report on. So for our spring leagues, we have 8 men's softball teams, 13 co-ed softball teams, and 6 kickball teams. The youth soccer contract is good through June 2018. And we also discussed the construction beginning on the Oak Grove Park. And we also discussed about having one of our board members being a non-resident in the Snellville city limits, as we've had a vacancy on the board for a while, and one of the people that has contacted Lisa was a non-resident, and we sometimes have problems filling all the positions. And lastly, there are still openings for volunteers at the Snellville Days Festival, so if anyone is interested in signing up, please contact the park office.
Thank you. Any questions for Ms. Mullen? Thank you very much, Brittany. Next, we have Snellville Tourism and Trade, Ms. Kelly McLean.
Good evening, Mayor and Council. Really don't have much to report since our last report last month, with the exception of the 2017 Christmas ornament. We'll have the image of City Hall on it, so it's very nice, it'll be very pretty. Other than that, I'm just excited, rocking right along with the events, and I know the farmers market just met recently, and they're excited and ready to get started for June. So other than that, that's about it.
When's the first event in March? Isn't there an event on the green in March?
There is, yes. Yeah, that's,
What's the date?
Spring Green is March 25th, and Snellville Tourism and Trade is co-hosting that event with the Heart of Gwinnett. So we're looking to have a full house, 125 vendors out there, so please join us. Thank you for reminding me of that, Mayor. We'll have activities for the kids, and that is a fundraiser for the Amanda Riley Foundation, all to benefit that foundation as a whole. So, yeah.
Any questions for Ms. McLean? Thank you very much, Kelly. Marcy Ferris, Board of Appeals.
Mayor and Council, the Board of Appeals met on February 14, 2017, with your VOA 1702, and we didn't charge you more for coming on Valentine's Day.
Thank you.
This was a request by Mid-Century Investors LLC and Brenda Butler for variances from the zoning ordinance, section 9.3, RS 180 district space limit, section 4.7 street frontage requirement, and from section 3.4.3 of the development regulations to record an exemption plat for a 7-lot, single-family detached development on 2.70 plus or minus acre property zoned RS 180, single-family residence at 1965 Oak Road. Approval was granted with 9 conditions.
Any questions of Marcy?
Thank you.
Thank you very much. And finally, we have our Snellville Youth Commission, Alexandria Charters. I hope I pronounced your last name correctly. Was I close?
Yeah, you are. So during the month of February, the Snellville Youth Commission spent our Saturdays volunteering at the Southeast Gwinnett Co-op. And it was a really eye-opening experience for us as we got to see how much the co-op assists and welcomes families in Gwinnett who are in need. And not only do they provide fresh food and personal hygiene supplies, but they also provide tutoring, church services, and help parents get birthday and Christmas gifts for their children. And in addition, they take breakfast and lunches to students during the summer who would normally rely on the school system for those meals. And it was amazing to see how the co-op is always supplied with what they need because of the gracious outpour of the support from the community. And it was an honor for us to give our time and service to a place that gives so much to everyone in Gwinnett. Thank you.
Any questions?
When is our next meeting?
Our next meeting is this Saturday.
Thank you very much.
Thank you.
Appreciate your report. Now we'll go to the public hearing part of the meeting this evening. And item A is the second reading, LUP 17-01, RZ 17-02, CUP 17-01, consideration of action on application by Brandon Development Company at 2338 Scenic Highway LLC, requesting to A, amend the City of Snellville future land use map from office professional to commercial retail, B, amend the official zoning map from office professional district to HSB, Highway Service Business District, and C, request for conditional use permit for a 72,000 square foot, 3-story, controlled air self-storage facility on the 1.99 plus or minus acre property located at 2387-97 Lenore Church Road, Snellville, Georgia, tax parcel 5026071. Mr. Thompson.
Thank you, Mayor. Thank you, Council. Once again, 3 applications in front of you, a land use map amendment, a zoning map amendment, and a conditional use permit request to operate a 72,000 square foot mini warehouse storage facility and indoor facility at 2387 and 2397 Lenore Church. The property data is nearly a 2-acre parcel with a partially erected 48,000 square foot building, parking lot, and a stormwater detention pond. The areas to your north of the subject property are currently Carlin Vision Medical Office. We've got vacant properties to the south and west along 124 and Henry Powell Road. Across the street to the east, you have some couple of abandoned or vacant office professional buildings and one office professional building that's still in use there. To understand the history of the site and kind of how we got here and from where, this was the original, I know the plan's a little small, but it's the original rezoning plan that was approved back in 07 for a mixed use retail and office project that at that time included Carlin Vision on the northeastern corner there. They received permission by mayor and council to proceed and began land disturbance sometime in 2008. As everyone knows, that was when basically when the economy began to fail. Dr. Carlin at that time removed his portion of the property from the project in fears that it would also go belly up and continued on. Was later awarded and was completed construction in 2010, as we all know now, with extra 87 additional spaces on top of those that he was given per his square footages. Since that time, the property has went a couple different property owners, and that would include the frontage across 124 and the building that we're talking about this time. And the newest owners have bought the entire property. They've demoed what used to be, there were 2 buildings on the front of 124. They demoed one with plans to remove the other. And now their plans is to move forward and own and operate the indoor storage facility. And a little bit of land use. It's located in the southern portion of the downtown spark that along with the intersection improvements that'll strengthen Henry Flower. And we have a unique circumstance here where a building was partially built and can no longer function as it was originally planned, and it has some graffiti. It's been there for close to 10 years now, and it would be tough to put an office use there with the limited parking. It's also located in a kind of a transitional commercial area. The area directly to the south across from Henry Flower is a predominantly residential area. The applicant has also provided some renderings for the proposed facility. That's the elevation that would face the Carlin Vision building. It would be basically finished to the same extent with the stone on the bottom and brick around all four sides with some glass fenestrations and 2 entry points, as well as this is the one that would face 124. Also noticed that the applicant has agreed not to put any kind of wall signage up on that elevation, so it will blend in better with what Dr. Carlin has invested on his property. This would be the elevation towards 124. And then just a little bit a further out view of the actual north elevation that shows both entrance points for occupants to use. We don't typically have, even though a conditional use permit is required, we don't have any specific standards to regulate those by, so we kind of piggyback off of what Gwinnett County has provided. We've provided those conditions as part of, or those requirements as part of the conditions. Some of those are no outdoor storage, no outside speakers, no boats, no RVs, and anything of that matter. We recommend approval of the land use plan, the zoning map amendment, as well as the conditional use permit. And we just remind you that we need, when we look for a motion for approval or denial, that the land use plan amendment would need to come first. And I'll be happy to answer any questions.
Questions?
Jason, you mentioned the elevation side that would face 124. What about the side that would face Lenora Church?
I believe it's very similar to this one without the self-storage. Let's see, that's more. That actually is the Lenora Church side. I'm sorry. That's the east side. East would be the east side. North would be straight up. So this is actually the Lenora Church. I was wrong.
Okay,
We don't
so,
have the west elevation.
okay, so that's what's going to face Lenora Church, because
Correct.
that's what's going to be closest to the street.
Yes, ma'am.
Any other questions?
Do you know if there's going to be a self-storage sign on the other end as well?
On the 124 side?
Yes.
I would assume that that's where they're going to do the bulk of their signage, and from what I understand, since they can control the property on 124. Their hopes is to put the monument sign out there, and then even in the future, there's an access drive that's already been planned to kind of serve that property, that they would extend the access drive and hope that most of the traffic would come through actually 124 and not to the Lenora Church.
Any other questions? Is the applicant here?
Thank you, Mr. Mayor, and members of the council. My name is Tracy Mason, and I'm at 295 Culver Street, South Culver Street, and that's in Lawrenceville, Georgia. And I'm glad to be back in Snellville. Thank you for having us. I'm here this evening representing my client, who is the owner and the applicant, in this case, Brandon Development Company. We're, as Mr. Thompson mentioned to you, we are respectfully requesting you to approve our application for a land use plan amendment, for rezoning, and for conditional use permit in order to build and operate an indoor storage facility. So this would be all indoor. I have with me here tonight Mr. Art Brandon and Mr. Dan Brooklyn with Brandon Development. Brandon, as Mr. Thompson also said, is currently the owner of this property, an additional property close by, and they would actually develop the property and continue to own and operate the property. So they're in this project for the long haul. They want to be good neighbors. They're here to stay. they feel like we're here to offer you an opportunity to rectify kind of a bad situation on North Church Road. And I'm sure that you folks are familiar, you've gone up and down the North Church Road with the big building, the big steel frame, and I'm going to ask Mr. Rubel to come up and he can show you some pictures of what currently exists on our project site. It's some ugly stuff, graffiti and the kind of stuff you see typically when you have vacant property. As Mr. Thompson mentioned, the property has been sitting vacant for 10 years. As a part of the initial project, it was zoned for office use, and it's been marketed for offices, but it has not had any, obviously it had been used or sold for office space. In addition to the 10 years where it's sat empty and been marketed, we also, since we've owned the property, we marketed the property to be purchased for offices. Since my clients have owned it though, and since they've been marketed, the only folks who have inquired of them about using the property have been people who've approached them about using it for a gym. They've been approached about using it for a baseball fitness center, maybe because Mr. Ruckel is a baseball star, way back. A warehouse, a microbrewery. However, nobody's approached them about using the property for offices. I know I walked in with Nelson Williams tonight, and he said he thought it would make a good hay barn, but I don't know if that's something that the city would be excited about. We feel like we have better proposals, especially considering, and we think it's important to mention to you that there is additional office space existing around the property. I think Mr. Ruckel's got pictures that he has taken of offices. You'll recognize these. Some of the ranch homes have been converted into offices. They sit empty as well. So the point is, we tried and we can't market this for offices. So we bring to you what we feel like is a good solution to a tough situation. We do have the constraint that Mr. Thompson mentioned that parking is limited. As he talked about, we lost 86 spaces in, I guess it was 2008 or so, when Dr. Carlin needed those spaces. So we couldn't even park in an office building if we built out this building as an office. What we can offer you is with the indoor storage facility, we're required to provide less than half what's required for an office building. We also feel like the architectural treatments that we're offering here are compatible with what Dr. Carlin has at his office. He's seen these renderings, and we're presenting an aesthetically pleasing solution here. From a land use perspective, we submit that our project, as Mr. Thompson spoke about, is in keeping with the comprehensive plan. We're in the downtown character area, which includes a mixture of civic, retail, and office uses. We feel like our proposed HSB use is in keeping with retail uses. As far as the HSB rezoning goes, we also would argue that from a zoning perspective, that the property is appropriate here. It's located southeast of the Highway 124, 78, the Jimmy Mason intersection, in what's considered to be a transitional commercial area, as staff stated. And as I mentioned before, from the standpoint of aesthetics, we're trying to stay compatible with what's in the area. As far as traffic goes, I think Jason mentioned that, and you would have seen in your report, that trip generation for a indoor facility creates about more than two and a half times less trips a day than a general office use. So we're going to be generating less traffic than we would be with an office. So I think I mentioned we did approach surrounding property owners. I always like to talk to the neighbors, see how they feel about what we're doing. Mr. Ruckel spoke with the father, Dr. Carlin. He didn't have any questions, or he didn't have any complaints about the project. I spoke more at length with the younger Dr. Carlin. He said, I would have rather it had been an office building way back when, but I'm not going to complain, about what's going in there. I think they probably are sick and tired of looking at the graffiti too. I'm a patient of Dr. Carlin. I'm not crazy about going in there and looking at the graffiti. So we feel like what we're presenting is an opportunity to rectify a bad situation. We want to be good neighbors. We're in this for the long haul. We feel like we're offering you a workable solution in that you do have parking restrictions on the property. We're presenting a use that requires less parking that's compatible here. We have traffic counts that are lower than you would have with the office space. We're going to generate less traffic. We're going to use the existing frame, which is an expensive structure. We're putting that to use, no waste there. And we're trying to make the area more aesthetically pleasing by keeping it compatible with Dr. Carlin's office. So, we feel like it's a good.
I was going to say, I might throw in a couple of things.
This is hard, Brandon, and he's my boss, so I'm standing aside so he can speak.
You did a great job. We're developers, we're also contractors, so we're familiar with the building. We think there's a lot that we can use. There's a lot of benefits. We've got a good price on it, but that gives us the opportunity to spend the kind of money we're showing. I thought of Dr. Carlin, and we want somebody in that parking lot, when they look at that building, to think it's an office building. And so our doors inside will be lit, but they're going to be blended with the walls. They're not going to be the greens or the reds that you see at some of these places. It's going to blend in. Our main entrance will be on Scenic Highway. We were just talking about what kind of monument sign, maybe temperature and time, just do a nice quality sign there. All our finishes are going to match Dr. Carlin's building. So we're trying to create a great atmosphere in that parking lot. We want to be a good neighbor. Oh, and timing, operation, will not be open 24 hours a day. We're going to be open, less than 6 to 10. That'd be the maximum we'd be open. We don't know yet, but that would be open in the middle of the night.
Any questions?
Yeah, if I could just, number one, thank you. Thank you for choosing Snellville to venture out and do some of these things. We appreciate that. I also wanted to thank you for the improvement to the 124 side from Flower Up. And I look forward to that other building being gone one morning when I drive through there. I'll just put that out there. With regard to the front of the building and the ability for trucks, and I speak of a 32-foot, 40-foot U-Haul, whatever, is there enough capacity right there, or is there a plan for those larger vehicles to unload, or what's the thought process there?
We have about 70 feet from Lenore Church back to the side of the building, and that we are going to have for people bringing more than just out of their car or pickup truck. We're going to have that as the main loading facility.
Okay, so that's good. So that's not going to impede the parking lot at all with a big truck trying to get through there, that kind of thing. That was a little bit concerning to me. So there's going to be a delineated area where there are going to be large truck deliveries, that kind of thing.
Right.
Right. Now, are these going to be mechanical operated doors that are going to go this way and then not pull open? It's based on looking at the front of them. It didn't look they were.
We didn't really draw them. I mean, we were just trying to get an elevation, but they will be, when you walk up, they will open.
Pocket type door kind of opening. They're not going to be
have a key card to get in.
Okay, that was going to be the other
After
question.
hours, we may have nothing there today.
All right. Well, good. Well, thank you, gentlemen.
Spender?
Mr. Brandon, have you owned and operated these type of storage facilities before?
We haven't. We were looking at this property for another use, and we have been, when we couldn't find a good use, we have been hiring consultants. So we at first hired some office consultants, and then we've since hired some self-storage consultants. Just went to a seminar in Charlotte last week. We want to be the nicest place. We can create value that way, so we're going to be, it will be a first-class place. And as far as we have done a market study, so we know that it's not overbuilt in the market. We're going to do some additional market studies to figure out the mix. We don't know that yet. We know the costs of everything around us because we got a pretty good value. The costs or the rental rates are fairly low, but we can compete and be nicer. So we think it's a great opportunity for us, and we think, you know, we can do something for the city of Snellville and have a nice building that hopefully will help that side of 78 and help create other activities and businesses. And we're still working. We also own the property on Scenic Highway. We're, you know, talking to people all the time. We had a company called Pet Suites that we've been talking to. That we think would be a positive use, bring positive kind of people there. So we've been talking to them, and so we're trying to be a good, you know, citizen of Snellville.
Anyone else?
So, I'm thinking long-term in my mind of the city of Snellville, what I envision later on 10, 15, who knows how many years from now. And about 98% of Snellville is developed, so a lot of it's redevelopment. And we're very limited in what downtown is or what it's going to be, the area. And I'm thinking storage unit in downtown doesn't sound at all like something I would like in a downtown, or I think something a lot of people wouldn't like in a downtown in general. And then, so I'm still kind of undecided on this one specifically. When you said nicest place, any one of you today, I guess, can speak to this. How is this new or innovative, or kind of really draw something different to this city that's going to put value in it? It's not going to be another contemporary architecture that's kind of not really anything different. It's not new. It's not. How is this going to really, in my mind, change or help affect positive change in the city long term?
We may not be that use, but I think just having something positive done there is going to raise the feel of the area. And if you ever go downtown, I mean, there's a lot of multi-story self-storage all over Midtown, which is one of the hot areas of town right now.
Yeah, I know Midtown, but I didn't move to Midtown.
And it does have a little bit of an urban feel to it, but it looks good. It's compatible with Dr. Carlin's office. And I'm you know, at the age where I'm downsizing, and I need someplace like this. I spend too much money on storage facilities because you need a place to put all the stuff that your children leave you with. And this is the kind of place that I would go, you know, and put furniture and, you know, anything I needed to. And I've lived in a place, in an area in Midtown that had across the street a nice facility like this, and it's very useful. And then from the perspective of an attorney, and this being in a business area, I also store my records, you know, in an office location, in an indoor storage place. So I think it's compatible with office uses in the area too, very useful for office uses.
Thank you, sir. Any other questions? Okay, now we'll open it up to the public. Anyone who would like to speak either for or against, please come forward, state your name and your address, and talk to us. Seeing none, I'll ask for a motion.
Motion to approve LUP 17-01 as read by the mayor with reference to ordinance 2017-02.
There's a motion on the floor. Do I have a second?
Second.
There's a motion and a second. Any further discussion of council? Seeing none, call the question. All those in favor of approval signify by raising your right hand. That's 6 in favor. Congratulations. What? Sorry.
I didn't raise my hand.
Oh, I'm sorry. Thank you. All opposed? 5 in favor, 1 opposed. Congratulations. Welcome to Snellville.
That's just the other. We need to do
The next one is the
RC.
RG. We have to do all 3 of them, 3 separate votes? Okay. I'll hear a motion on RZ 1702.
Motion to approve RZ 1702 as read by the mayor.
There's this motion on the floor. Is there a second?
Second.
The motion is second. Any further discussion of council? Seeing none, we call the question. All those in favor signify by raising your right hand. That's 4 in favor. Those opposed? 2 opposed. Motion passes. CUP 17-01. Do I have a motion?
Motion to approve CUP 17-01 with reference to ordinance 2017-0.
There's a motion on the floor. Is there a second?
Second.
I have a motion and a second. Any further discussion of council? Seeing none, we call the question. All those in favor signify by raising your right hand. That's 4 in favor. All those opposed? 2 opposed. Congratulations. Item B, second reading, LUP 1702, RZ 1703. Consideration action application by Maria Wilson, applicant, and Crawler Equipment Sales Incorporated and Junior M. Archer, property owners, requesting to A, amend the City of Snellville future land use map from low-density residential to medium-density residential. B, amend the official zoning map from RS 180, single-family residence district, to RHOP 55, single-family housing district for older persons. And C, request a variance from section 6.4.33C of the development regulations to allow an eyebrow cul-de-sac for an age-restricted 55 plus 30 lot detached single-family residential subdivision with amenity area and pond on a 15.636 plus or minus acre tract located near Lenore Church Road, Maple Street, and Poplar Street, Snellville. Tax record is 5027A, 025, 027, 029, 036, 039, 040, and 069.
Thank you, Mayor, again, for doing the heavy lifting. We'll just review it real quick. We'll request to amend the land use map from low density to medium density. Request to change the zoning map from RS 180 to RHOP 55, residential housing for older persons. A request for a waiver to be allowed an eyebrow cul-de-sac for 30 lot single-family detached senior housing development. Once again, located on Lenore Church south of the intersection this time of Henry Flower Boulevard on a 15.64 acre property that consists of the 7 parcels you see above with a 3 acre lake that has 2 streams on the property. To the north, south, basically east and west are your typical Snellville low density single family uses, typically larger lot neighborhoods built 20 to 30 years ago. The subject property does have a couple of existing homes that abut Lenore Church Road, but the rest of it remains vacant. And as I described before, houses the lake on the northeast portion of the property is basically unbuildable. And then as you can see, there's some associated stream buffers with the 2 different streams that are located on the property. The land use that's being proposed is being amended to, I just want to make a clarification, to medium density residential, because that's the associated land use designation with the RHOP, since it can span from 2 units per acre all the way up to 5 units per acre. It's been classified as a medium density use, although this use will only be 1.99 units per acre and would typically be considered a low density residential. It's located in the No Business Creek character area in the 2030 comprehensive plan, an area which promotes stable residential communities with high rates of home ownership, pedestrian connectivity, and no cut through traffic. This project will be fee simple owned. We'll have a sidewalks and no cut through traffic, obviously, with cul-de-sacs in place. location, the parks, the open space, and amenity area around the lake, and once again, the close access to the Lenore Church, commercial uses on 124. Furthermore, they've provided some elevations of the homes, and what you've got, they've provided a couple of front elevations. Your senior type bungalows with the main living space on the bottom floor, with maybe some guest space upstairs for the grandchildren or something like that. Typically, these would all have to meet ADA standards as prescribed. That linked within the staff report in a lot more detail. This is just some other options on some front elevations. All hardy plank, stone, things of that nature. Side elevation. Typically, the water table wraps around some more hardy plank windows. And one more option for and these are just projected options at this time. No builder is on at this time. We would hold them to these standards in general. We have provided conditions that prohibit certain building materials, vinyl siding, so on and so forth. Would review any options that they bring in the future in the form of a plan book with material samples and so forth. They've also requested the use of the eyebrow cul-de-sac, which is what you see here. They're typically prohibited in the development regs. If you start making a lot of them, it makes for hard turning maneuvers. And we feel like one is appropriate there to allow them to get the frontages on those two parcels. And they requested, we noticed the variance, they requested to not develop the sidewalks on the far northeastern portion of Poplar Street, where there's just a small amount of sidewalk that would be required that wouldn't be connected. I believe it's up here, if I'm correct, or right in here. That there's no existing sidewalk network there. There's also a stream, a culvert that goes under, so it'd really be a sidewalk that wouldn't go anywhere. So we recommend approval of that. We've also recommended some conditions that were put forth. One that's notable that the Planning Commission recommended was in lieu of the 25-foot buffer between residential uses, which will basically operate at low-density residential uses, was the installation of a fence so that the houses could be located in driveways long enough. We recommend approval of the land use plan amendment and the zoning map amendment with the conditions that you've seen come forth in the ordinance dated LUP 1702 and the RZ 1703. Answer any questions.
Any questions?
Just one or two. Mr. Thompson, if you could, I was struggling with the change in the condition on the 25-foot setback that you just mentioned, that to do a fence.
Well, the setback, basically it's what it calls for an undisturbed buffer. A lot of times, the RDOT densities can be much higher, and if it was in, next to a low density use, the buffer would be appropriate. We kind of saw that on the other senior one we did, and the Planning Commission felt like in order to configure the lots appropriately, that because the lots on Poplar Street are much deeper and forested, that a fence would be more appropriate along that boundary to the north, all the way down to basically this property instead of the buffer.
Okay, so what we're saying is that there would have to be no 25-foot buffer.
Well, the fence would be on the exterior of the property line, which is the bold line, and the rest of that would be their yard. There'd still be a setback there. I'm not sure exactly 25 feet. It may be a 25-foot setback, so the house would still be away from the fence. There just wouldn't be a buffer and then another setback on top.
Okay. And the houses that are abutting this, those three properties there,
those would be the ones most affected.
and those are pretty deep lots as far as they have big backyards now.
Yes, they go.
Did you hear from anybody at Planning Commission that had an issue with the fence?
There were some, and I don't remember there being any
the elevations, I've got a request to withdraw elevation plans, and I guess I'm just confused on what that withdrawal meant. Is it the following pictures that are underneath that withdrawal, or what's replaced that?
Oh, okay. Well, what happened is when we originally got some elevations, they weren't really appropriate to the zoning district and they weren't complete. So as we worked to finish the staff report and most of the application was complete, 99%, they submitted the revised applications. And that's what I just showed you that were appropriate. They had all sides. The main problem is that as a requirement of the RBOC ordinance, you have to show all elevations of at least one building, and they had not completed that. They had given us a couple fronts, but no sides and no rears. So what we've got now basically are these three.
Because I'm in the packet now, and I'm just trying to make
These
sure.
are the three
Same
front
thing.
elevations that.
And correct me if I'm wrong, but aren't these all just the same house, but just different treatments on the front?
It looks like different houses.
We would require a plan book and that would show variation. I mean, you gotta, the thing about this is because there's no real builder involved at this point, so in order to entitle the property, then they would have to submit a plan book, just like Shadow Grove, where we nail down all the details. They have to show variation, different fronts, all that's covered in this design standard. So without having a plan book right in front of you, wanted to have something to at least kind of hold their feet to the fire, so how close we can get to these, and this is what was provided.
And then the side setback is, because it's hard for me to read this.
On the site plan,
Yeah,
the side setbacks, I think.
For the houses.
And just like, I think 10. I believe they're 10 between houses.
10 between houses, so it's probably closer to Carrington kind of.
That's Carrington, Shadowbrook, Woodbury, Hickory, Old Hickory, all of those are.
Okay, they're all made up, okay. Okay, that was all.
Any further questions? The applicant available? We get to hear from you twice now.
Oh, yeah. One more thing I forgot to add is we did have that additional condition that we discussed in the work session, 13, about the staggered row of 8-foot tall Leland cypresses to be planted basically from here up over to the back of those 3 lots to protect Ms. Murray's new shed as that's the first home on the left on Maple Street. The verbiage was included and given to Mr. Powell to add to the ordinance. Thank you.
Ms. Mason?
Sorry. Thank you, Mr. Mayor. Again, and members of the council. Again, I'm Tracy Mason. Coincidentally, I'm here to represent the second applicant in this case. And again, I'm here on North Church Road. Rather than on the commercial retail side of Henry Flower Boulevard, you travel down North Church Road, over Henry Flower Boulevard. So now we're into the residential section of Henry Flower Boulevard. And you're looking at the parcels, this parcel I'm sure you're familiar with, that is bounded on one side. Well, it's not really bounded, but it's a lot in from First Poplar Street and then Maple Street. You may be familiar with the property at the corner of Maple and North Church Road. There's a house that's been sitting there for many years that was built by Richard Snell back in the 60s. It was later occupied by Mark Stevens and his family, so one of our applicants has actually lived on this property, and the other applicant, who is Stephen Archer, he represents, as the executor of his father's estate, the other family that lived on this property. So we've got Snellvillians who are interested in bringing a use that's compatible to this area, that will uplift this area, and a project that they can feel good about. So when we first sat down and talked about what we could do with the area, we talked to some folks in the city, we talked to staff, we talked to some neighbors, and we're like, what would be a good use for this property? And what would be a good addition to the community in Snellville? We recall that Scott Walk came in, Carrington, we've talked about Woodbury. Some of the 55 and older neighborhoods have been great additions to the city of Snellville, so we considered that. And that's where we ended up landing when we decided to make the proposal. I jumped right into it, but the applicants in this case are those two landowners. They're actually the applicant who submitted the application is Maria Wilson. She's the real estate agent. In the case, she's spoken with a lot of the neighbors in the area, spent a lot of time with them. I've spoken with some of the neighbors in the area. You probably can recognize that because with Miss Murray, bless her heart, she lives on Maple Street. She's the first house you encounter to the left, and we've got a condition that we've added to, for your ever popular Leland cypress, to screen her from any headlights or anything that she might experience with the neighborhood. We also work with the Hortons across the street who are concerned with the drive. We had precision planning go out and stake the drive so we could see, you know, if there was any wiggle room, what we could do to work with them. So we really have tried to work with the neighbors to bring a development that works for them as well as for us. So, you probably see if you're looking at your package that we actually have 7 tracks. These tracks combine to add up to 15.6 acres. We've got the 3-acre lake in the back. It's in the eastern portion of the neighborhood, and we've got 2 blue line streams that come across the neighborhood. I think it's important to note, as Mr. Thompson pointed out, that even though we're asking for a change in the land use plan classification from low to medium density residential, we really are respecting the low residential character of the area, because we are only proposing 1.9 houses per acre, which is comparable to the density in that area. We didn't try to max out our density, you know, under a medium density residential classification. So we feel like we're keeping we're in keeping with the density in the area. We're trying to bring a development that we think is appropriate. We thought the 55 and older development would especially be appropriate given that we have, you know, this wonderful civic area close by for older, what you're calling older, which is 55, so I do beg to differ a little about that, but the older folks in the community. You've got T.W. Briscoe Park down the road. You've got the Elizabeth Williams Library close by. The medical facilities not too far by. You've got commercial shopping close by. The Sonic Lodge. You know, the churches, the Methodist and the Baptist church are within walking distance. So we really feel like that this is a good use for this location. We feel like it addresses the 2030 comp plan, which indicated that there's an aging demographic in the city of Snellville. We're looking at that, and we're happy to bring this project to you. You'll agree by approving this whole jumble of land use plan, rezoning, and the variances, which I'm happy to answer questions about.
Any questions, Ms. Mason?
Or I'd be happy to talk. I'd like to reserve my time for rebuttal otherwise.
What size houses do you propose, and what do you estimate the cost will be?
We're at 1,800. I've got our real estate agent here. This is, you know, we don't have a builder yet. It's like Mr. Thompson said, you know, he will require a plan book. You know, we're trying to give you an example. What we've seen done in a lot of the areas are the craftsman style homes. You have a very particular ordinance when it comes to what's required with your RHOP development with respect to the housing plans. I mean, you've got to have, you know, a step-free entrance. I think in your report you'll see all the particulars that are required. So they have to jump through hoops, and they have to give you a very particular product in order to build on this location under this zoning classification. And Maria, the real estate agent, would like to add something. This is Ms. Wilson.
Thank you, Mayor and Council. I would like to add, with this development, there are a minimum amount of step-free entries, and we did provide in the proposal package a front of the home. You had said it didn't look like different fronts, but what you couldn't see is that there are step-free entries into the home. Also with this community at the 200,000 plus point price range, it should be bringing in approximately 200,000 extra revenue from that community. Another issue that we'd like to address and that the community neighbors have said is that they have huge water issues when we have rain downpours. The land that we will be putting this area in sits a little bit higher, so the water has been running down and into the streets and flooding the streets. So by taking that higher land and putting in the curbing and the proper sewage, we hope that this will also cure something that the city cannot cure on its own without progress. And that is to catch that water and keep it from flowing down and flooding into the roads, the streets, and, which can be frustrating for drivers when they're coming through. So, thank you for hearing me.
So the starting price point then is 200,000?
It will be, usually you generally go like 190s to come in. You want to come in as low as possible for the first homes and then upgrade from there. So we're looking to be in the 190 price range to 250 range. Sounds about right. Any more questions?
One question, and it's probably more for Jason, for me, just for clarification. This is a sewer development, right? This is not any septics or anything like that? And I'm just because of the area where it's at, there's not a lot of sewer there, unless it's coming to and off of Lenore Church.
Should be a sewer development. Yeah, the sewer's available right there on the Lenore Church.
So they'll connect to Lenore Church, because that's where they're at.
Wherever is closest to, wherever the county dictates.
A couple more questions too that just got raised in my head. The existing pond on the back of the property, this is going to be owned by the development and the HOA.
Yeah, it'll be needed, I'm sure, by the HOA and used as an amenity space. They'll be responsible for maintenance and upkeep of it.
And they'll have to keep up with the retention pond,
Yes,
the
ma'am.
issues that arise from that. So if additional water is flowing in there, they'll
They've
have to
already,
do
the beaver dams have been a problem over there as well for public works for years now. The applicant has busted out the beaver dams twice, but as fast as they can build them or bust them, the beavers are busting right back. So they're gonna look aggressive.
Beavers are so cute until they build dams where they're
Yeah, it's been a
supposed to.
problem, but they would be required to control that area and be responsible for it.
Beavers.
Okay,
Well, hang, I'm sorry. I just had to pause for Mr. Fernando to finish his comments. And then at the very front, as you're driving, the drive-in, when you're looking at where the new proposed pond is located. So down in this corner, is that basically just the wetlands or the waterway? They can't build in this section?
Below the detention ponds, those dash lines, which you can't really see well on your screen, are the stream buffers. So that's why the pond is located outside of those dash lines. And it's, I would assume it's the low point of the property too. So that's why the detention pond is there.
Okay, all right, thank you.
okay, I'll now open the floor for discussion. Anyone pro or against, please come up, state your name and your address for the record.
Mr. Mayor, City Council members, I'm Joan Murray. I live at 2585 Maple Street. That's the first home on the left. I'm here to support the plan and I'm very grateful that the requested accommodations that I made have been met. I'm very appreciative of Mr. Thompson, Ms. Wilson, and I've spoken with Ms. Linsky, and also Mrs. Mason. And it's been a tough decision, but it's the right decision, because I do believe that everybody in Snellville is somebody, and that all of us have equal value. So just to offer a word, I had an exam last year. I'm healthy. I'll see the trees they plant. But the med student said to me, instead of saying as you get older, he said they should have more birthdays. So I offer that to you, and I thank you for all the work that you're doing on our behalf.
Anyone else?
Alice Snipes, 2615 Showing Circle. I'm just curious, if this is going to be a 55 and over, why are all the elevations 2 stories? Everything they showed was a 2-story. Am I wrong?
No, that's what they showed. They also stated that the first floor would be living foundation, the second floor would be more like company bedrooms, for grandchildren.
Okay, I couldn't hear back there, I didn't understand.
It's like Stockton Walk.
Do what?
So like Stockton Walk and some of the other places. You live on the first floor and you send your kids upstairs, you know, visit.
Okay.
So the master bedroom basically is going to be on the main line.
Hi, good evening. My name is Kevin Horton, and I'm here with my parents, Fred and Helen Horton, and they live at the corner here of Lenore Church and Maple Street, and lived there for about 50 years. While we don't disagree with this development coming in, we think it's probably a good use of the land. We're still worried about the traffic flow situation. As you are all aware, W.C. Britt Elementary is up the road. You've got the high school, you've got the church, and this Maple Street is a cut-through street. So if you're talking about adding 30 houses, and you assume each house has, 1.5 cars? You're talking about 45 cars coming out of that. It still hasn't been demonstrated to us that that's going to be a manageable traffic flow. So what I'm wondering is, does it make sense to have some kind of stoplight here at the corner of Maple and Lenore Church Road? Not sure how much traffic is going to come out, at one time, especially in the mornings during rush hour. Maybe that may be a consideration that you guys think about.
Unfortunately, unless I'm wrong, that's not something we have any control over, is it?
It's county maintained.
It's county. The city has no control over where the signal lights go. The county would have to be involved.
So the county will see the plan, so they'll have the opportunity to comment, and if the warrant is high enough, that's something that they can suggest, and then we'll see transportation guys.
I wish we could help, but other than me standing out there with a stop sign, there's no options.
Okay. And I just want to say thanks to Maria and everyone else who come and spoke to my parents. They've been very helpful. And it was mentioned too, their house sits very low in terms of, it's down at the bottom of the hill. We just want to make sure whatever water comes from this development doesn't come down into their house and make, things worse. So, just a couple things for consideration. Thank you.
Do we have anyone else? Seeing none, I'll close the open hearing part and ask for a motion.
Motion to approve LUP 1702 as read by the mayor.
I have a motion on the floor. Do I have a second?
Second.
There's a motion and a second. Any further discussion of council? Seeing none, I'll call the question. All those in favor signify by raising your right hand. That's 6 in favor. LUP 1702 passes. Can I have a motion for RZ 1703?
Motion to approve RZ 17-03 with reference to ordinance 2017-06. And do we need to include that number 13 condition, Jason?
Yes.
And I would also like to amend this to include condition number 13, which would be a staggered row of 8-foot Leland cypresses shall be planted 10 foot on center adjacent to the north side of main access drive up until the extreme rear yard of lot 30 and shall continue along the rear yards of lots 30, 29, and 28. The applicant shall be allowed to install plantings where required within the city's 25-foot undisturbed stream buffer. However, any plantings required within the state's 25-foot undisturbed stream buffer will require separate approval during the site development process.
There's a motion on the floor. Do I have a second?
Second.
There's a motion and a second. Any further discussion of council? Seeing none, I call the question. All those in favor signify by raising your right hand. That's in favor. That's 6 in favor, and the motion carries. Next, we have under old business, or excuse me, consent agenda. Resolution 2017-03, GMA Certified City of Ethics. B, the initiative Home Rule Charter Amendment Process to amend the Charter of Snellville, Georgia by eliminating Section 1.13. Initiate Home Rule Charter Amendment Process to amend the Charter of Snellville, Georgia by adding Section 1.2 to clarify the form of government established by the existing charter. D, initiate Home Rule Charter Amendment Process to amend Section 2.19B of the Charter of Snellville, Georgia to permit special meetings of the City Council to be held on call of the mayor and 4 members of the City Council. E, initiate Home Rule Charter Amendment processes to amend Section 2.31 of the Charter of Snellville, Georgia to clarify the authority of the mayor and the council with respect to appointment powers. F, initiate Home Rule Charter Amendment process to amend Sections 3.11 and 3.12 and 3.13 of the Charter of Snellville, Georgia to clarify the authority of the mayor and council with respect to appointment powers. G, initiate Home Rule Charter Amendment process to amend Section 5.16 of the City of Snellville, Georgia to clarify the authority of the mayor and council with respect to removal of appointees. Let me explain to you very quickly, except for item A, which is just our recertifications of City of Ethics. All these B through G are changes to our charter. Shortly after my election as mayor, I appointed a committee to look over our charter and to remove some of the ambiguity that had caused us heartburn over the last 7 or 8 years. We had current council members, former Mayor Clower, attorney, our city attorney, and we had a good mix of people from the community came in, looked at the charter, and then made changes that they thought would make the charter better. I think I believe Nelson was on that committee also. So these are the results of those changes, and we're just making them today so that Diane, the former councilwoman Diane, was also on that. So these are all changes we made to clarify the charter going forward, so that hopefully the mayor and the council won't run into the same problems that they ran into over the past 7 or 8 years. So I'm asking for a motion.
Motion to approve the consent agenda as read with items A through G.
I have a motion on the floor. Is there a second?
Second.
There's a motion and a second. Any further discussion? Seeing none, all those in favor signify by raising your right hand. That's 6-0. The consent agenda is approved. We have no old business. Going into new business. Resolution 2017-04, allowing temporary signage for businesses affected by Highway 78 and Highway 124 construction. Mr. Emanuel. Mr. Thompson.
Just a quick synopsis of the issue before you is as the Highway 124 and 78 intersection improvement gets underway, several of the existing businesses are being forced to remove their monument signs on the front end of the construction and would be left without any signage during the duration of the project. And city attorney has worked with us and devised basically a moratorium of the regular sign rules to those properties and has allowed a temporary signage policy that will allow them to erect temporary signage for direction and regular advertising during the next 18 months. If that's not enough time, I'm sure we'll be back here to extend the moratorium.
Any questions, Mr. Thompson?
Mr. Thompson, just to clarify, now, this is only going to apply to businesses who had to take down a sign that they currently have. Is that correct? So we're not at this point making any combination for anybody just to throw up extra banners or
No,
signs?
that's the last thing.
Any other questions of Mr. Thompson? Seeing none? I'll entertain a motion.
I'll make a motion to approve resolution 2017-04.
There's a motion on the floor. Do I have a second?
Second.
There's a motion and a second. Any further discussion of council? Seeing none, call the question. All those in favor of passing resolution 2017-04, please signify by raising your right hand. That's 6 in favor. Resolution passes. Mayor's nomination and council confirmation of James Edward Thornton III to Snellville Youth Commission Advisory Board. All those in favor signify by raising your right hand. 6 in favor. The appointment is approved.
Mayor, I'd like to amend the agenda under new business, item C is mayor's nomination of municipal court associate judge.
There's a motion on the floor. So do I have a second?
Second.
Hang with this one second. The mayor nominates Richard Rychek for the position of associate judge. All those in favor signify by raising your right hand.
Wait a minute, we have to vote on the amended agenda.
Okay, let's vote on the amended agenda then. All those in favor signify by raising your right hand. Okay, that's approved. Mayor nominates Richard Rychek Jr. as associate judge for Snellville Municipal Court. All those in favor signify by raising your right hand. That's 6 in favor. You have an assistant judge.
I could die now.
Or we can fire you.
Don't do me no favors.
That ends our business. Now we'll go to council reports. Mr. Marlowe.
Not really any reports when it comes to mine. I just kind of think if I want to say something, you know. But not no report.
Ms. Linsky?
No report. My personal rule is no report after 9 p.m.
I hate it.
I promise you to get this out of dance. You'll be disappointed. Ms. Bender?
No report.
Mr. Emanuel?
I would have a report, but since it's after 9, I have no report.
Thank you.
I'm saying your luck ended there. Mr. Howard?
I'm sage right.
Shop local.
Shop local. Chief, are we full up in the CPA class, Citizens Police Academy? Are we full up yet?
No, it's good that.
Okay, so those of you that don't know about our Citizens Police Academy, invite who might be interested in seeing what our police department does here in our city.
Bobby, microphone.
Oh, come on.
We're going to do a report.
Okay, let's start over then.
Oh, please.
Thank you, Barbara. So sweet. In all seriousness, though, our Citizen Police Academy has added some great value to our city, and those that attended have just absolutely enjoyed it. So if there's still room and you still got some people that are interested, I think the first class starts Thursday night. So continue to do that. Continue to shop local. Thanks for the opportunity to sit here in this chair and serve our fine city, and congratulations to all the volunteers. And it's truly the volunteers are the heart of our city, and I don't think anybody says that with any doubt. And it's really, truly a wonderful group of people that come out here and give everything they have at all these events and all these things that happen. They don't just happen because the sun comes up. They happen at 6 o'clock on a Saturday morning because a ton of people come out. So thank you all for that.
That's the end of the council reports, and there's no mayor's report. My people. And now we'll open the floor to public comment. If you have public comment, please step forwards. Give us your name and address for the record. Scared y'all off, huh? All right, thank y'all for coming. I'll entertain a motion to adjourn.
Motion to adjourn.
Second?
Second.
All those in favor signify by raising your right hand. Thank y'all, folks. We're out of here.